The desert held its breath. 2,400 meters away, through heat shimmer and dust devils that danced like ghosts across the Syrian sand, a man stepped onto a third-floor balcony. He wore white linen, traditional, confident, a man who believed concrete walls and armed guards made him untouchable. He was wrong. The woman lying prone on the ridgeline 800 feet above the valley floor had been waiting 72 hours for this moment. No food, half a canteen of water gone warm in the sun. Her ghillie suit, constructed from local vegetation and desert fabric, had rendered her invisible to the compound's roving patrols. She had counted their rotations, memorized their patterns, learned the rhythm of this place the way a musician learns a symphony. Now finally the conductor had taken the stage. Her rifle was not standard military issue. The Macmillan TAC-50 had been modified over 6 years of operations across 4 continents. The scope, a Schmidt and Bender with custom turrets, bore scratches that told stories she would never speak aloud. Her left hand rested on the stock, fingers steady despite the temperature that had reached 118 degrees an hour ago. Her right hand, gloved despite the heat, lay patient on the trigger guard. Not yet. The wind mattered here. At this distance, in these conditions, wind was everything. She watched the patterns, studied how the dust moved across the compound courtyard, noted the flag on the eastern minaret, how it snapped and fell, snapped and fell. A rhythm. Everything had rhythm if you waited long enough to hear it. Her radio crackled, the voice distorted by encryption. Phantom 7, you have 8 seconds when he exits. Wind is impossible. Abort. She did not respond immediately. 8 seconds. The intelligence had been accurate. The target never lingered. He would step out, speak to his aide, receive his morning briefing, and vanish back inside. 8 seconds of exposure in a life lived behind walls. But the wind, gusting 22 miles per hour, shifting northwest to northeast in irregular intervals. The ballistics were brutal. A .50 BMG round, even with her hand-loaded subsonic configuration, would drift almost 6 feet in these conditions. Maybe more. And the target was not a static paper silhouette on a range. He was flesh, mobile, alive. For now, negative, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I have the shot. A pause on the other end. Then, your call, Phantom 7, you know the stakes. She did. High-value target, coordinator for 3 cells operating across the Turkish border, responsible for the embassy bombing in Ankara. 14 Americans dead, twice that many locals. Intelligence indicated he was planning something larger, something that would dwarf what had come before. The mission clock had run out. This was the window, the only window. She waited. 40 seconds passed. The target spoke to his aide, gesturing toward the northern hills where, unknown to him, his death waited with infinite patience. The wind gusted hard, the flag standing almost horizontal. She breathed. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 6 counts out, 2 counts pause. Her heart rate, already low from 3 days of enforced stillness, dropped further. 60 beats per minute, 58, 55. The wind fell, not completely, never completely in the desert, but it fell enough. The flag dropped to half-mast. The dust in the courtyard settled into lazy spirals instead of violent eddies. A pocket of calm in the chaos. 3 seconds, maybe 4. She exhaled to 60% lung capacity and held. The rifle, already perfectly aligned, seemed to settle even deeper into her shoulder. The reticle found center mass. She did not think about the mathematics. The calculations had been made hours ago, verified and re-verified until they lived in her muscle memory. Elevation, windage, Coriolis effect at this latitude, temperature, humidity, altitude. All of it distilled into one moment, one decision. She pressed the trigger. Smooth, inevitable. The rifle barely moved despite the massive cartridge. The suppressor, custom-built for this specific ammunition, reduced the signature to something a distant observer might mistake for a door slamming. The round took 2.3 seconds to travel the distance. She tracked it through the scope, though at this range there was no seeing the bullet itself, only the result. The target dropped. Clean, no theatrics. One moment standing, the next, gone. His aide screamed. Guards rushed the balcony. Chaos erupted in the compound below. She was already packing. The radio crackled again. Confirm. Confirmed, she said, breaking down the rifle with practiced efficiency. Stock folded, barrel separated, scope removed. each piece fitted into its custom case with the care of a surgeon returning instruments to a tray. Phantom 7 requesting exfil. Copy, that's 22, Ghost. Congratulations. She paused just for a moment, her hand on the case. 22 men and women who had woken up this morning, not knowing it was their last. 22 lives ended by her hand, each one authorized at the highest levels, each one necessary. Each one a weight she would carry forever. Don't congratulate, she said quietly. Just extract. She shouldered the case and began to move, low and fast along the ridgeline, following the exfiltration route she had memorized before ever taking position. Behind her, sirens wailed. Dogs barked, men shouted in Arabic, their voices shrill with panic and rage. None of them looked up at the ridge. Ghosts, after all, were invisible. The screen went black. White text appeared. 6 months later, Quantico, Virginia. The fog rolled through the hills of Quantico like something alive, thick and cold and patient. It swallowed the targets at the far end of the range, turned the buildings into gray suggestions, made the whole world feel smaller. Dawn had broken 20 minutes ago, but you would not know it by looking. The Marine Corps Scout Sniper School existed in its own perpetual twilight, a place where time moved differently and comfort was a word from another language. 12 candidates emerged from the morning gloom, their breath misting in the October air. 11 of them were exactly what you would expect. Young men, mid-20s to early 30s, built like they had been carved from oak and wire. They moved with the confidence of those who had never been told they could not do something. Their service records were immaculate. Their physical fitness scores in the top percentile. They belonged here and they knew it. The 12th candidate was different. She stood 5'3" in boots, maybe 115 pounds soaking wet. Where the others were broad and solid, she was slight. Where they talked and joked and tested each other with the easy camaraderie of men who knew they were among equals, she stood silent, her face a careful blank, her hands resting at her sides. She did not look at them. They looked at her. Did they seriously let a librarian in here? The voice came from the largest of the group, a staff sergeant named Brett Kane, 31 years old, 6'2", 220 pounds of corn-fed Iowa muscle. His voice carried across the range, meant to be heard, meant to establish the hierarchy before any instructor did it for him. The woman did not react, did not turn her head, simply stood there, motionless in the fog, her rifle case at her feet. Kane grinned at his buddy, Corporal Marcus Lee from Texas, a compact man with a linebacker's build and sharp eyes that missed nothing. They exchanged a look, the kind of look that said this was going to be entertaining, the kind of look that men who had never been truly humbled wore like armor. Master Gunnery Sergeant Cole Hardwick stepped out of the training office and the chatter died. At 42, Hardwick was everything a Marine instructor should be. 6 feet of controlled violence wrapped in camo utilities. His face looked like it had been weathered by wind and hard decisions. His eyes, pale blue and cold as the fog, swept across the assembled candidates with the kind of assessment that saw through skin and bone to whatever lived underneath. Form up, he said, not loud. He did not need to be loud. They formed. 2 ranks, 6 and 6. The woman ended up in the back rank, far right, the position no one wanted, the position that said you were last in every sense that mattered. Hardwick walked the line slowly, inspecting, judging. When he reached the woman, he stopped, looked down at her. She stared straight ahead, her eyes focused on a point somewhere in the middle distance. Her jaw was set, her hands unclenched. Sergeant Flynn, Hardwick said. Master Gunnery Sergeant, she replied. Her voice was quiet but clear. No hesitation, no tremor. You ready for this? Yes, Master Gunnery Sergeant. He studied her for another moment, then moved on. But something in his expression said he had already made a decision, already knew how this would end. The first drill of the morning was simple. Timed rifle assembly. Each candidate's weapon had been field stripped, the components mixed together on a long table under a tarp. On Hardwick's command, they would reassemble their rifles against the clock. Speed mattered here. In combat, a Marine who could not put their weapon together in under a minute was a Marine who died waiting. Begin. Hands flew, metal scraped, bolts slid home. The candidates attacked the drill with the kind of aggressive efficiency that had been drilled into them since boot camp. Kane's hands were a blur, his muscle memory so ingrained that he barely looked at the components. 35 seconds? 40. He slapped his hand on the table. Done. Others followed. Lee at 42 seconds, his movements precise and economical. Corporal Davis at 48. Corporal Rodriguez at 51. One by one they finished, standing back from the table with the satisfied expressions of men who knew they had performed well. Sergeant Maya Flynn was last. She finished 92 seconds after the first candidate, her movements careful and deliberate where theirs had been fast and instinctive. When she finally stepped back from the table, Kane was already grinning. "Maybe try the typing pool, sweetheart," he said, just loud enough for the others to hear. Several laughed. Lee, to his credit, did not join in, but he did not stop it either. Maya did not respond. Her eyes stayed forward. Her breathing remained even. Hardwick moved down the line, inspecting each assembled weapon. He checked bolt alignment, trigger housing, magazine wells. Most got a nod. A few got corrections. Small things. Minor errors that would not prevent the weapon from functioning, but marked the difference between good and excellent. When he reached Maya's rifle, he stopped, picked it up, examined it from every angle, set it down. "This is the only one that's perfect," he said. Not to her, to all of them. Every other weapon on this table has at least one error, some small, some critical. Sergeant Flynn's is the only one assembled to standard. The grins faded. Kane's jaw tightened. Hardwick turned to face them. "Precision is useless if you're dead before you can shoot. Speed matters. But speed without accuracy is just noise." His eyes found Maya. "And accuracy without speed gets you killed." She took it without flinching, without nodding, just absorbed it like she had absorbed everything else. Another lesson, another judgment. The morning continued. Physical training, an obstacle course designed to break bodies and spirits in equal measure. Mud pits, barbed wire, walls that seemed vertical, all of it while carrying full combat load and weapon. The candidates attacked it with the kind of violent enthusiasm that Hardwick had seen 1,000 times. Young men trying to prove they were harder than the next guy, faster, stronger, better. Maya moved through it methodically, never rushing, never panicking. She did not try to muscle over the walls the way Kane did. Instead, she found handholds and footholds, using technique where the others used strength. She finished last again, but she finished clean. No falls, no failures, just steady, relentless progress. Lee, watching her navigate a particularly difficult traverse, muttered to Davis, "She's got skills, just not our kind." At the shooting range, the pattern continued. Her accuracy was exceptional, 98% hit rate on targets from 300 to 800 meters. But her target acquisition time lagged behind every other candidate. Where Kane could spot a target, range it, and send rounds downrange in under 10 seconds, Maya took almost 30. Hardwick watched her through binoculars, his expression unreadable. Beside him stood two other instructors. Gunnery Sergeant Chen, the only other woman on the training cadre, mid-30s with the quiet competence of someone who had earned every ribbon on her chest, and Staff Sergeant Voss, 40, built like a fire hydrant, with the kind of 1,000-yard stare that came from too many deployments to too many bad places. 3 weeks, Hardwick said quietly. Zero improvement in speed. "Technically, she's brilliant," Chen offered. "Did you see her wind calculation on the 700-meter shot? She called for a full mil left when everyone else was going .5. She was right." "Being right slowly gets your team killed," Voss said. He did not sound cruel, just matter of fact. Not aggressive enough for this job. Hardwick lowered the binoculars, watched Maya break down her rifle with the same careful precision she brought to everything. "One more day," he said. "If she can't show me she has the killer instinct, she's done." That night, alone in the barracks, Maya sat on her bunk in the darkness. The other candidates were asleep, their snores and breathing creating a rhythm that should have been comforting. The sound of not being alone, of being part of something. But Maya had never felt more isolated. She opened her wall locker quietly. Beneath her carefully folded uniforms and boots, hidden in a false bottom she had installed herself, was a satellite phone, encrypted, untraceable. The kind of equipment that had no business being in a Marine barracks. One message waited. "Status?" She typed back with her thumbs, "On schedule," then deleted both messages, powered down the phone, and hid it again. She sat in the darkness for a long time after that, her hands folded in her lap, her breathing slow and controlled. Outside, the fog pressed against the windows like something trying to get in. 3 weeks passed with the kind of brutal efficiency that the Marines had perfected over 2 centuries. Wake at 0500. PT until breakfast. Classes on ballistics, meteorology, stalking, camouflage. Range time. More PT. Dinner. Maintenance. Sleep. Repeat. Maya existed in the margins. She did not socialize, did not join the others when they swapped stories or compared deployment experiences. During meals, she sat alone at the far end of the table, eating with the same methodical focus she brought to everything else. Fuel for the machine, nothing more. The nickname started in week 2, the Ghost. Not because she was good at hiding, though she was, but because she was practically invisible. Present but not part of things. There but not there. Kane used it first, of course. The Ghost is at it again, he would say, when Maya finished an exercise last. Or maybe the ghost should just disappear for good. The others picked it up, sometimes cruel, sometimes just thoughtless, the way young men are when they find someone who does not fit. Lee, though, began to notice things. The way Maya's breathing stayed controlled even during maximum exertion. How her hands never shook, even in cold. The precision of every movement, every adjustment, every calculation. He mentioned it once to Davis. She's not slow, she's deliberate. There's a difference. Deliberate gets you killed, Davis replied, echoing Voss. Maybe, or maybe we just don't know what kind of fight she's training for. Maya never responded to the mockery, never defended herself, never explained. What was there to explain? On day 20, Hardwick made his decision. Sergeant Flynn, my office, now. The command came during a water break at the range. The other candidates exchanged glances. Everyone knew what a private meeting with the master gunnery sergeant meant, especially 3 weeks in. Especially for the candidate who had been struggling. Maya followed Hardwick across the compound to the training office, a small building, all concrete and function. Inside, 2 other instructors waited, Chen and Voss. Their faces were professionally neutral, but Maya could read the decision in their posture. Sit, Hardwick said. She sat, hands folded in her lap, back straight, eyes forward. Hardwick did not sit. He stood with his arms crossed, the desk between them like a barrier. Sergeant Flynn, you're being dropped from the program. No preamble, no softening the blow. Just the facts, delivered with the same efficiency as a rifle shot. Maya did not react. Her face remained perfectly still. No surprise, no disappointment, no anger, just acceptance. You have the technical skills, Hardwick continued. Your knowledge of ballistics is exceptional. Your marksmanship, when you finally take the shot, is precise. He leaned forward slightly. But you lack the aggressive decisiveness required for this role. A sniper must be calculated, yes, but also quick to act, adaptive. You approach every task like you have all the time in the world. In combat, you don't. I understand, Master Gunnery Sergeant. Her voice was quiet, even, no emotion at all. Hardwick studied her face, looking for something, anger he could respect, disappointment he could work with. But this blank acceptance unnerved him more than defiance would have. This isn't personal, he said softer now. You're just not suited for this particular mission set. Yes, Master Gunnery Sergeant. He slid a manila folder across the desk. Discharge papers, no mark on your record, no negative evaluation. You can return to your unit with your head high. Maya took the folder, opened it, read the first page with the same careful attention she gave everything, then closed it. Is there anything you want to say? Chen asked. The first words she had spoken since Maya entered. Maya looked at her. For just a moment, something flickered behind her eyes. Something that might have been pain, or might have been relief, or might have been nothing at all. No, Gunnery Sergeant. She stood, saluted. The gesture was crisp and correct. Hardwick returned it. Maya left without another word. In the barracks, she packed with the same methodical precision she brought to everything else. Uniforms folded, boots paired, personal items sorted and stowed. The other candidates watched from a distance. Kane made a comment to Lee, something about libraries and daycares. A few laughed, but it felt hollow now, kicking someone who was already down. Lee said nothing, just watched Maya work, that same thoughtful expression on his face. Maya ignored it all. She worked in silence, her movements efficient and unhurried. When she reached under her bunk to retrieve her personal weapon case, Kane noticed. The case was old, military grade but well-traveled, covered in faded stamps and stickers from international airports. Istanbul, Nairobi, Bogota, Amman. The kind of wear that came from years of hard use, not months. Where the hell did you serve? Kane asked, curiosity overcoming his usual disdain. Maya did not answer. She simply lifted the case, shouldered it, and headed for the door. Guess we'll never know, someone muttered. Lee watched her go, something nagging at the back of his mind. Those stamps, those cities. He had deployed twice, Iraq and Afghanistan. Standard rotations, but he had never seen stamps like that on any Marine's gear. Those were contractor stamps, intelligence stamps, or something else entirely. Maya walked across the base toward the main gate, her case over her shoulder, her small duffel in her other hand. It was late afternoon. The sun hung low and red through the Virginia trees. Marines moved around her, going about their duties, none of them paying attention to the small woman in utilities carrying her life in 2 bags. She should have gone to the gate, should have caught the shuttle to the bus station, should have left this place and never looked back. Instead, she turned toward the 1,500-meter range. The range was empty. Everyone was at evening chow or finishing end-of-day maintenance. The target stood silent and distant in the fading light. Steel silhouettes at various ranges, 300 meters, 500, 800, 1,200, 1,500. Maya walked to the furthest firing point and set down her bags. From the weapon case, she removed her rifle. It was nothing like the standard issue M40 the candidates had been training with. This was custom, personal, a Macmillan T, AC 50 and .50B, MG the stock modified for someone of her size. The scope a high-end Schmidt and Bender with turrets that had been machined to specifications found in no manual. The barrel showed the kind of wear that came from thousands of rounds in hard environments. The suppressor was not military issue. This was a weapon that had seen real work. She assembled it with the ease of long familiarity. No hesitation, no thought, just muscle memory built over years. When it was complete, she loaded a magazine, 5 rounds, each one hand-loaded to her exact specifications. Then she took position. The steel target at 1,500 meters was barely visible in the growing twilight. Most Marines would not attempt this shot with this light. The conditions were poor. The wind, while not strong, was variable, the temperature dropping. Maya did not care about the conditions. She settled behind the rifle, found her breathing rhythm, felt her heart rate drop. The world narrowed to the reticle and the target and the space between. She made a minute adjustment to the scope. Another, then went still. 40 seconds passed. She fired. The suppressor reduced the sound to a sharp crack instead of the .50 caliber's usual thunder. The rifle barely moved despite the massive cartridge. Downrange, the steel rang. A perfect hit. She fired again, and again, and again. 4 shots, 4 hits, clustered so tight you could cover them with a playing card. At 1,500 meters, in poor light, with variable wind, she was packing the rifle away when she heard footsteps. Multiple people. Running. Hardwick arrived first, Chen and Voss right behind him. They had heard the shots from the training office, had recognized the distinct sound of a .50 caliber, had come to investigate. They stopped when they saw her, saw the rifle case, saw the distant target, barely visible now in the dusk. "What the hell are you doing, Flynn?" Hardwick demanded. Maya did not answer. She simply finished packing her rifle, closed the case, and stood. Then she picked up the rifle and held it out to him. Hardwick took it. The weight surprised him, heavier than standard issue. The balance was different too. Custom, professional. This was not some hobbyist's weekend project. This was a serious tool built for serious work. He turned it over in his hands, examining it with an instructor's eye. The wear patterns told stories. The modifications spoke of real-world application. And then he saw them, engraved in the metal beneath the scope mount. Small letters and numbers, barely visible unless you knew to look. Coordinates, latitude and longitude, followed by distances, followed by a single word. Confirmed. His eyes widened as he read. Kabul province, 34.5 degrees north, 69.2 degrees east, 1,847 meters. Confirmed. Aleppo sector, 36.2 degrees north, 37.1 degrees east, 1,654 meters. Confirmed. Mogadishu port, 2.0 degrees north, 45.3 degrees east, 1,421 meters. Confirmed. The list went on. 15 entries, 16, 20. At the bottom, the most recent entry. The numbers were fresher, the engraving cleaner. Classified location. Coordinates redacted. 2,431 meters. Confirmed. Hardwick's face drained of color. He looked up at Maya, then back at the rifle, then at the distant target she had just hit 4 times in conditions that should have made the shot impossible. "These are real," he said, not a question, a statement. "Yes, Master Gunnery Sergeant." Chen moved closer, reading over his shoulder. Her hand went to her mouth. "These locations. Afghanistan, Syria, Somalia, Colombia." She looked at Maya. "These are operations." Voss took the rifle from Hardwick, examining the engravings more closely. 22 confirmed. "That's not possible. You've been here for 3 weeks. Before that, your file shows standard infantry deployment. 2 years at Camp Pendleton. Nothing about—" He trailed off, the implications sinking in. "My file shows what it needs to show," Maya said quietly. Hardwick found his voice. "Who the hell are you?" Before Maya could answer, the sound of an engine cut through the twilight. All of them turned. A black Suburban rolled through the base, its windows tinted, its plates government issue but not military. It pulled to a stop at the edge of the range, and 3 men got out. 2 were security. That much was obvious from the way they moved. The bulges under their jackets. The way their eyes scanned the perimeter before anything else. The 3rd man was different. Mid-50s, silver hair, civilian clothes but military bearing. He walked like someone who had spent decades giving orders and having them followed without question. He crossed the range toward them, his shoes crunching on gravel. "Master Gunnery Sergeant Hardwick," he said. His voice was calm, professional, the voice of someone who dealt in secrets. "We need to talk, privately." Hardwick straightened. "Who are you?" The man pulled credentials from his pocket, flipped them open. "Colonel James Hale, Joint Special Operations Command." He glanced at Maya, then back at Hardwick. "I see you've met our ghost." 15 minutes later, they sat in Hardwick's office. The door was closed, locked. The 2 security officers stood outside, making sure no one came within earshot. Colonel Hale sat in one of the chairs across from Hardwick's desk. Maya stood against the wall, her arms crossed, her face expressionless. Chen and Voss flanked Hardwick, all of them trying to process what they had just been told. "Sergeant Flynn has been operating as a deep cover asset for 6 years, Hale said. He spoke with the careful precision of someone who had given this briefing before, who knew exactly how much to reveal and how much to keep hidden. Non-official cover, NOC operative. She conducts precision eliminations in denied areas where an official United States military presence would be problematic." Hardwick stared at Maya like he was seeing her for the first time. "She's an assassin." "She's a Marine," Hale corrected, "conducting lawful military operations under proper authority. The targets on her rifle are not random. They're high-value individuals, terrorists, war criminals. Each elimination was approved through appropriate channels." 22, Chen said softly. 22 people. 22 threats to American lives and interests, Hale said. Removed with minimal collateral damage and 0 political complications. That's why operators like Sergeant Flynn exist. To handle problems that cannot be solved through conventional means. Voss leaned forward. "But why here? If she's this elite operator, why send her to scout sniper school?" Hale was quiet for a moment, then, "Because her operational life is over. After 6 years in the field, the exposure risk outweighs the operational value. Too many missions. Too many people who might have seen her face. Eventually patterns emerge. Enemies learn. They adapt." "So you're retiring her," Hardwick said. "We're transitioning her. She'll move into a training role. Her knowledge, her experience, it's too valuable to waste. The next generation of special operations personnel need what she knows." Hale gestured toward the office. "But that transition requires an official training record. She needed to attend a recognized course, earn recognized credentials." Understanding dawned on Hardwick's face. "You used my school as cover, to build her legend." "We used your school to give her a legitimate path forward," Hale corrected. "Everything else, the skills, the knowledge, she already had. She just needed the paperwork." "Then why did she fail?" Chen asked. "If this was all planned, why let her get dropped?" For the first time, Hale looked uncomfortable. He glanced at Maya. She did not meet his eyes. "That," he said slowly, "was not part of the plan." Silence filled the office. "I failed the evaluations," Maya said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "That's on me." "You didn't fail," Hardwick said. "You were too slow. There's a difference." "No, Master Gunnery Sergeant, there isn't." She finally looked at him. "Your standards are designed to produce combat snipers for conventional warfare. Fast target acquisition. Aggressive engagement. Those are the right standards for that mission. But not for yours. No, not for mine. Hale stood. Sergeant Flynn's specialty is not speed. It's patience. She operates in environments where she might wait days for a single shot, where movement means death and rushing means failure. She's trained to a different standard because she fights a different kind of war. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then turned the screen toward them. Venezuela, last year. You might remember the news. Ricardo Vega, narco-terrorist, wanted in 6 countries, responsible for multiple attacks on American interests. The official report said he was killed by a Reaper drone strike. Hardwick nodded slowly. He remembered. Big news, joint task force operation. There was no drone strike, Hale said. The Reaper was 40 miles away providing surveillance. Sergeant Flynn was the one who pulled the trigger. Chen leaned in to see the phone. What was the distance? 2,100 meters. During a Category 2 hurricane. She had been in position for 6 weeks maintaining a cover as a wildlife photographer. When the target finally exposed himself, she had an 8-second window in 25-mile-per-hour crosswinds. Jesus, Voss breathed. Hale pocketed his phone. The best snipers are not the fastest or the most aggressive. They're the most patient, the most controlled. The ones who can wait 72 hours without moving for one perfect shot. He looked at Hardwick. Sergeant Flynn holds the record for the longest confirmed elimination in the history of covert operations. The shot you saw engraved on her rifle, 2,431 meters, unstable position, extreme wind, 1 shot, 1 kill. Hardwick set down the rifle he had still been holding, looked at Maya with new eyes. That's not possible. Which is why no one has heard of her, Hale said. The best ghosts stay invisible. More silence. The weight of revelation settling over them like snow. Finally, Chen spoke. What happens now? As of tomorrow morning, Sergeant Flynn will be integrated into your instructor cadre, Hale said. She'll teach advanced respiratory control, fieldcraft, and long-range engagement techniques. This is her new mission. And if she doesn't want it? Hardwick asked, looking at Maya. Hale also looked at her. Do you want it, Sergeant? Maya was quiet for a long moment. Her arms were still crossed, her face still carefully neutral. But something flickered behind her eyes, something that might have been hope or fear, or both. Yes, sir, she said finally. I'll try. Hale nodded. Then it's done. He moved toward the door, then paused, pulled a folder from his jacket, set it on Hardwick's desk. One more thing. Someone requested Sergeant Flynn's file 2 weeks ago, through back channels. The request was denied, but Maya went very still. Who? We don't know. The inquiry came through multiple cutouts, encrypted, professional, but whoever it was knew your operational designation. Phantom 7? Yes. Hardwick saw the change, the way Maya's jaw tightened, the way her breathing, always so controlled, hitched just slightly. You know who it might be, Hale said, not a question. I thought she was dead, Maya said quietly. Who? Maya looked at the floor, then at the wall, anywhere but at them. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely audible. Viper. The name hung in the air like a curse. Who is Viper? Chen asked. Someone Maya stopped, started again. Syria. 3 years ago, I eliminated a high-value target. His sister was present. She escaped. Intelligence reported her killed 6 months later. Drone strike in Yemen. Confirmed. Apparently not confirmed enough, Hale said grimly. If Viper's alive, Maya continued, and now there was something in her voice, something that might have been fear. If she knows I'm here, then we increase security, Hardwick said. Alert base police. Put extra patrols on the training areas. Maya shook her head. With respect, Master Gunnery Sergeant, if Viper is who I think she is, base security won't stop her. Who do you think she is? Maya finally met his eyes. Someone like me, maybe better. The next morning, fog rolled through Quantico again. Thick and cold and persistent, the candidates assembled for their morning brief, expecting another day of Hardwick's instruction, another set of drills designed to weed out the weak and sharpen the strong. Instead, they found Sergeant Maya Flynn standing at the front of the classroom. The confusion was immediate. Whispers ran through the ranks. Kane's voice rose above the others. What's she doing here? The door opened. Hardwick entered. Attention. They snapped to. Silence fell. Today's instruction will be conducted by Sergeant Flynn, Hardwick announced. She'll be covering advanced respiratory control and its application to precision shooting. You will give her the same respect you give any instructor. Is that clear? Yes, Master Gunnery Sergeant, they chorused. Hardwick nodded to Maya and left. She stood in front of them, the small woman they had dismissed and mocked and ignored. For a moment, she did not speak, just studied them with eyes that had seen things they could not imagine. Then she began to teach. Her voice was quiet but clear, confident, the voice of someone who knew her subject not from books, but from blood and sand and long nights waiting for dawn. Your heart, she said, is the enemy of precision at extreme distances. Every beat shifts your rifle approximately 1/8 of an inch. At 1,000 meters, that's the difference between a hit and a miss by several feet. She demonstrated. Breathing patterns, 4-4-6-2, how to lower your heart rate through controlled respiration, how to time the shot between beats, how to make your body a stable platform instead of a source of error. The candidates watched, at first with skepticism, then with growing attention, because whatever else she was, Maya Flynn knew what she was talking about. An hour later, they were on the range. Maya took position behind a rifle. 800 meters to target, strong crosswind, poor conditions. She settled, breathed, went absolutely still. 45 seconds passed. She fired. Perfect center hit. Even Kane looked impressed. Lee, standing beside him, nodded slowly. I told you, she's not slow. She's operating on a different level. After the class, Kane approached her, hesitant, uncertain. Sergeant, I wanted to apologize for the comments. I was out of line. Maya looked at him, really looked at him, saw past the bravado to the young Marine underneath. Good kid, talented, just cocky in the way young men are when they have never truly failed. Use that energy for your training, Marine, she said. How did you do it? He asked. Stay so calm when everyone doubted you, when we all thought. He trailed off, embarrassed. Because it's not about proving anything to anyone, Maya said. It's about the mission. Always the mission. She turned to go, but Kane's next question stopped her. What was your mission, Sergeant? Here, I mean, what were you really doing? Maya looked at him for a long moment, then gave the only answer she could. Learning if I could be normal. She walked away, leaving him standing there, trying to understand. That evening, alone in her new instructor quarters, Maya cleaned her rifle. The familiar ritual. The meditation of disassembly and inspection and reassembly. Each part checked, each surface wiped. The engravings on the receiver stared back at her. 22 coordinates, 22 lives, 22 weights she would carry until her own name was added to someone else's list. Her satellite phone vibrated. She stared at it for a long moment before picking it up. One message from an unknown number. Hello, Ghost. Long time. I'm coming for what you took. The signature was a single letter. V. Maya's hands, always so steady, began to shake. She set down the phone and closed her eyes. Breathed, 4-4-6-2, trying to find calm, trying to find center. But all she could see was Syria, the compound, the target on the balcony, and the woman standing next to him. Tall, sharp features, scarred, smiling directly at Maya's position from 1,600 meters away. Knowing exactly where she was, Maya had taken the shot anyway. The target dropped. The woman vanished. 6 months later, intelligence reported Victoria Al-Qasim, also known as Viper, killed in a drone strike. But the message on Maya's phone said different. Viper was alive. Viper knew where she was. And Viper was coming. Maya stood and moved to her locker, retrieved her rifle case, loaded it with ammunition. Real ammunition, not training rounds, the kind of rounds you loaded when you expected to kill or be killed. She had tried to leave that life behind. Tried to become just another Marine, just another instructor, just another person. But the past, it seemed, was not done with her yet. 3 days later, the perimeter alarm sounded at 0200 hours. Base security responded, found nothing at first. Then someone spotted it on the outer fence, spray painted in red letters 3 feet high. 3 days ghost, then I collect. V. Hardwick stood in front of it with Chen and Voss, all of them wearing hastily thrown on uniforms. All of them staring at the message in the glare of security lights. What does it mean? Voss asked. Maya arrived running, her rifle in her hands. She stopped when she saw the fence, went very still. Hardwick turned to her. Sergeant Flynn, what does this mean? 3 days until what? Maya stared at the letters, at that single signature, at the promise painted in blood red across chain link. 3 days until she kills everyone I care about, Maya said quietly, to make me suffer. Then she kills me. Who is she? Chen asked. What does she want? Maya turned. Her face, usually so carefully controlled, showed something raw, something afraid. Her name is Victoria Al-Qasim, Viper, and she wants revenge. For what? Maya's voice was barely audible over the night wind. I killed her brother. The fog rolled in again, thicker now, closer, like the past reaching out to reclaim what it had lost. And somewhere in that fog, watching from a distance with a scope and a smile, Viper counted down the hours until the ghost became prey. The night after the fence message, Maya Flynn did not sleep. She sat in her quarters with her rifle assembled and loaded on the desk, subsonic rounds chambered, scope zeroed for close-range urban engagement, the kind of setup you made when you expected someone to come through the door with lethal intent. Her satellite phone lay next to the weapon, dark and silent. No more messages from Viper, no warnings, no threats, just the terrible quiet of waiting. At 0300 hours, her door opened. She had the rifle up and aimed before the visitor cleared the threshold. Her finger rested on the trigger guard, not the trigger itself. Discipline even in fear. Colonel Hale raised his hand slowly. Easy, Sergeant. Maya lowered the weapon but did not set it down. Sir, you should knock. And give you time to hide that? He nodded at the rifle. We need to talk. Not here. My vehicle. 5 minutes later, they sat in the back of his Suburban, parked in the dark lot behind the training office. The windows were tinted. The interior was swept for surveillance devices daily, as close to secure as you could get on a military installation. Hale handed her a tablet. This is everything we have on Victoria Al-Qasim. Maya scrolled through the file. Photographs, intelligence reports, assessment documents. The woman staring back from the screen was exactly as she remembered. Late 40s, sharp features, the scar on her left cheek from something that had happened long before Syria. Eyes that looked through the camera instead of at it. Real name unknown, Hale said. Victoria Al-Qasim is likely an operational alias. She first appeared on our radar in 2006. Chechnya, working as a spotter for Russian mercenaries. By 2008, she was operating independently. Various conflicts, various clients. No political loyalty. Pure mercenary. Her brother, Maya said quietly. Rashid, tell me about him. Haley pulled up another file. Rashid Al-Qasim, coordinator for cells operating across the Turkish border. High-value target, responsible for the Ankara embassy bombing. 14 Americans dead. Planning something larger when you eliminated him in 2018. I had 8 seconds. He was with a woman. Intelligence said no family. Intelligence was incomplete. The woman was Victoria, his sister, also his partner in several operations. When you took the shot, she was standing less than 3 feet from him. Maya remembered. The scope picture, the target in white linen, the woman beside him dressed in black, her face partially covered. And then that moment. That impossible moment when she had looked directly at Maya's position, 1,600 meters away, in darkness, without optics, and smiled. She spotted me, Maya said. I don't know how, but she knew exactly where I was. The after-action report says you took the shot anyway. The mission required it. 8 seconds. Only window. I fired. Target eliminated. The woman vanished during the chaos. 6 months later, we received intelligence she had been killed. Drone strike in Yemen. High confidence confirmation. Clearly not high enough. Hale was quiet for a moment. The drone strike was real. It killed someone. Female. Correct age range. DNA was inconclusive due to the thermal damage. We assumed. You assumed wrong. Yes. Maya set down the tablet, looked out the tinted window at the dark base. Somewhere out there, in the Virginia night, a woman who should be dead was counting down the hours. 3 days. Then collection. What does she want? Maya asked, though she already knew. Revenge, obviously. But there's more. We've been analyzing her pattern. Victoria Al-Qasim is not a berserker. She's methodical, patient. Every operation she's conducted has been carefully planned. Minimal collateral damage, maximum efficiency. She's like me, yes, which makes her exceptionally dangerous. She won't come at you directly. She'll make you suffer first, destroy what you care about. Then when you're broken, she'll finish it. Maya thought about the candidates. Kane with his eager face and apologetic eyes. Lee with his sharp observations and quiet competence. Davis, Rodriguez, the others. Young Marines who had started to respect her. Chen, who had shown her unexpected kindness. Even Hardwick, gruff and demanding but fair. I need to leave, she said, tonight. Draw her away from the base. If I'm gone, she has no reason to hurt anyone here. You think she'll follow? I know she will. This is personal. She waited 3 years. She won't settle for anything less than me. Hale shook his head. Running makes you vulnerable, isolated, easy to pick off. Here you have resources, support, Marines. Here, I'm a liability. Everyone around me is a target. Then we turn that around. Use yourself as bait, but controlled, on our terms. Maya looked at him. What are you proposing? A trap. Old range complex, 10 miles off base. Abandoned, isolated. We announce a field training exercise. Make it public enough that Viper hears. She comes for you, but we're waiting. She'll see through it. Maybe, but she'll come anyway, because she wants you too badly to pass up the opportunity. And the candidates? Present but protected. Fortified positions, sniper overwatch. They'll be safer there than here, where Viper can hit them anytime. Maya considered. It was not a good plan. Too many variables, too much that could go wrong. But Hale was right about one thing. Running meant dying alone. At least here, she had a chance. When? Day after tomorrow. Gives us time to prepare. Set up overlapping fields of fire. Position our assets. And if she doesn't come alone? Do you think she will? Maya remembered Syria, the professionalism, the skill. No, she'll bring help. 4 to 6 shooters, professionals. Then we bring 12 Marines, the best. Maya nodded slowly. All right, we do it your way. But Colonel, if this goes wrong, if Marines die because of me, then we make sure it doesn't go wrong. He opened the door. Cold air rushed in. Maya stepped out into the darkness, her rifle case in hand, and walked back to her quarters alone. Behind her, Hale watched until she disappeared. Then he made a phone call, encrypted, secure, to people who did not officially exist. Preparation for war had begun. The next morning, Hardwick gathered the candidates for their daily briefing. Maya stood to the side, watching them file in. 12 young Marines, fit and eager, with no idea what was coming. Gentlemen, Hardwick said, day after tomorrow, advanced field training exercise, old range complex 10 miles north. We'll be conducting realistic engagement drills in degraded facilities. This is the closest to real-world conditions you'll get before deployment. Kane raised his hand. Sir, that facility was condemned 2 years ago. Structural issues, which makes it perfect for training. You'll be dealing with unstable positions, limited visibility, unpredictable terrain. The kind of environment you'll face downrange. Hardwick's eyes swept the room. Pack for overnight, full combat load, live ammunition. This is not a drill. This is an evaluation. The candidates exchanged glances. Nervous energy filled the room. Lee leaned over to Davis. Something feels off about this. You notice how tense the instructors are? Davis nodded. Yeah, and Flynn? She looks like she's heading to a funeral, not a training op. After the briefing, Kane approached Maya. Sergeant Flynn, are you coming to the exercise? I'll be there. Will you be evaluating us? Maya looked at him, saw the eagerness, the desire to impress, the complete lack of awareness that he might be walking into a killing ground. Yes, Marine, I'll be watching. He grinned and jogged off to join his buddies. Maya watched him go, something cold settling in her stomach. She had signed his death warrant, or all of their death warrants, by staying, by agreeing to Hale's plan, by being what she was. Chen appeared beside her. You're thinking about pulling out. Yes. Don't, we need you here. They need you here. They need me gone. I'm the reason Viper is coming. You're also the reason we have a chance. Chen looked at the candidates, now engaged in animated conversation about the upcoming exercise. Without you, we'd be blind. Viper would hit us whenever she wanted. At least this way, we see it coming. And if we're wrong, if she doesn't play along, then we adapt. That's what Marines do. Maya wanted to believe that, wanted to think that training and preparation and superior numbers would be enough. But she had been on both sides of this equation, had been the lone operator hunting prepared targets, had seen how quickly advantages evaporated when the hunter was patient enough. And Viper was nothing if not patient. That afternoon, Maya taught her final regular class, advanced breathing techniques and heart rate control. The candidates paid attention now. No more jokes about librarians, no more dismissive glances. They had seen what she could do, knew that her silence came not from weakness, but from a place of hard-earned competence. When you're in position, she told them, your body wants to betray you. Adrenaline spikes your heart rate. Fear tightens your breathing. These are natural responses, but they're also your enemy. She demonstrated, took position behind a rifle aimed at an 800-meter target, let them watch as her breathing slowed, as her body settled, as she became absolutely still. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 6 counts out, 2 counts pause. Your heart rate will drop, 60 beats per minute, 50. If you're good, you can get it down to 40. That's the zone. That's where the impossible becomes possible. She fired. Perfect hit. The candidates tried it themselves. Most struggled. Too much tension, too much trying. Kane surprisingly got it. His breathing evened out. His body relaxed. When he fired, his shot landed within 2 inches of center. Lee also succeeded, his natural discipline translating well to the technique. Davis struggled, but showed improvement. Good, Maya said. That's the foundation. Everything else builds on this. After class, as the others left, Kane lingered. Lee stayed too, cleaning his rifle nearby, but clearly listening. Sergeant, can I ask you something? Kane said. Go ahead. The exercise tomorrow, it feels different, more serious than the others. Maya looked at him, saw that he was sharper than she had given him credit for, that underneath the bravado was a Marine who paid attention. It is different, she said carefully. Why? She could lie, should lie, keep him ignorant and hopefully safe. But something in his eyes made her reconsider. He had apologized, had learned, had earned a measure of trust. Because I need you sharp, Kane, all of you, more than usual. Is something going to happen? Lee looked up from his rifle, also waiting for the answer. Just stay alert. Keep the others safe. Can you do that? Kane nodded slowly. Yes, Sergeant. Lee added, we've got each other's backs. Always have. Good. Now get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. They left, but Maya could see the wheels turning, the questions forming. She had given them just enough to be dangerous, just enough to maybe keep them alive. Night fell. Maya sat in her quarters, cleaning her rifle for the third time that day. Nervous energy she could not burn off any other way. The satellite phone sat silent on her desk. No messages from Viper, no updates, just the countdown. Tomorrow night, then the collection would begin. At 0200 hours, unable to sleep, Maya walked the perimeter of the base. The guards knew her now, nodded as she passed, did not question why an instructor was prowling the fence line at 0:30 with a rifle case over her shoulder. She found herself at the spot where Viper's message had been spray painted. The paint had been removed, but you could still see the outline if you looked closely. Ghost images of letters, 3 days. The deadline was now less than 24 hours. Can't sleep either? Maya turned. Chen stood 10 feet away, also armed, also restless. Too much on my mind, Maya said. Want to talk about it? Not really. They stood in silence for a while, watching the Virginia darkness beyond the fence. Somewhere in that darkness, death waited with a scope and a smile. I looked her up, Chen said finally. Viper, pulled what files I could access. She's got a hell of a resume. I know. Chechnya, Syria, Libya, Ukraine. She's been everywhere we've been, sometimes on our side, sometimes against us, always effective. What's your point, gunnery sergeant? My point is, you're not the only ghost in this fight. She's just as good, maybe better. And she's had 3 years to plan this. I know that too. Then you know tomorrow might not go the way Colonel Hale thinks it will. Maya turned to face her. Are you suggesting we abort? I'm suggesting we be realistic. Viper has been hunting people for over 20 years. She's survived things that killed everyone around her. That takes skill, yes, but also ruthlessness. She won't follow our script. Then what do we do? Chen smiled, but there was no humor in it. We follow yours. You know how she thinks. You've been doing this almost as long as she has. When the plan falls apart, and it will fall apart, we trust your instincts. That's a lot of faith to put in someone who just got kicked out of sniper school. You didn't get kicked out. You made us think you did. There's a difference. Chen checked her watch. I'm doing one more perimeter sweep, then getting 2 hours of sleep. I suggest you do the same. She walked away, leaving Maya alone with the fence and the ghosts. Maya did not sleep. Instead, she went back to her quarters and pulled out something she had not looked at in months. A photograph, worn at the edges, creased from being carried in too many pockets through too many countries. The photo showed a woman in Army uniform, captain's bars, kind eyes, smile lines. Her name tape read Ashford, Captain Elizabeth Ashford, Army intelligence officer, killed by an IED in Iraq in 2015. Maya's foster mother, the woman who had seen something in a 16-year-old girl in the system and decided to give her a chance. I tried, Mom, Maya whispered to the photograph. I tried to leave it behind. Be normal, but it won't let me go. The photograph, of course, did not answer. The dead never did. They just watched with sad eyes and reminded you of all the ways you had failed them. Maya set the photo down and loaded her rifle with the special ammunition she had been saving. Custom rounds, hand-loaded to specifications that existed nowhere in any manual. Each casing was marked with small letters. E.A. Elizabeth Ashford, her mother's initials. For my daughter, the note had said, when Maya found them among her mother's effects. When you need them most. Tomorrow, Maya thought, qualified as most. Dawn came too fast and too slow. The convoy assembled at 0600, 3 Humvees, the candidates in the first 2, instructors and equipment in the third. Hardwick drove the lead vehicle, his face set in the expression he wore when things were about to get serious. Maya rode in the back of the third vehicle with Chen and Voss. None of them spoke. There was nothing left to say. They had gone over the plan a dozen times, positioned assets, established fields of fire, prepared for every contingency they could imagine. But Maya knew better than most that the enemy always got a vote, and Viper would be voting with bullets. The old range complex appeared through the morning mist like something from a fever dream. 3 buildings in various states of decay. The main structure, 3 stories of concrete and broken windows. 2 warehouses, their roofs partially collapsed. Weeds had reclaimed the parking lot. Rust consumed the chain-link fence. Perfect terrain for an ambush. Candidates, Hardwick called out as they dismounted. Establish perimeter positions 400 meters south of the main building. Fortified firing positions. Overlapping fields of fire. You have 30 minutes. Of coverage. Kane directed his team with coverage. Kane directed his team with surprising competence. Lee and Davis worked together, their movements coordinated. Rodriguez and Cooper covered flanks. The others followed Kane's lead. Overwatch positions, Hardwick continued. Chen, take Ridge East with Martinez and Williams. 600 meters elevation. Good view of the entire complex. Voss, Warehouse 2 rooftop with Davis and Park. 300 meters, closer support. I'll take Ridge North with Thompson and Myers. 800 meters, long-range coverage. Each team moved to their assigned positions. Radio checks confirmed everyone was in place. The trap was set. All that remained was the bait. Maya walked into the main building alone. Her boots echoed on concrete floors littered with debris. Graffiti covered the walls. Tags and curse words in the general detritus of a place that had been abandoned to time and vandals. She climbed to the second floor and found a room with intact windows facing south. Good sight lines, multiple egress routes, defensible but not a dead end. She set up her rifle on a makeshift rest, aiming out the window toward where the candidates had established their perimeter. Through her scope, she could see Kane checking his weapon, talking to Lee, both alive, both unaware. Her radio crackled. All stations, this is Hardwick. Radio check. One by one, the teams reported in. Everyone in position. Everyone ready. Flynn, you set? Hardwick asked. Maya keyed her mic. Set. Waiting. And so the waiting began. 0700 became 0800. The sun climbed higher, burning off the mist. Nothing moved except the wind through the weeds and the occasional bird. The candidates shifted in their fighting positions, nervous energy with nowhere to go. 0900 came and went. Still nothing. At 0915, Kane's voice crackled over the radio. Sir, no movement. Are we sure they're coming? Stay alert, Marine, Hardwick replied. But Maya could hear the doubt creeping into his voice. The question forming. Had they been wrong? Had Viper decided not to play, or had she seen through the trap and simply walked away? Then Maya heard it. Not a sound. The absence of sound. The birds had stopped singing. The wind had paused. Everything had gone still the way nature goes still when a predator enters the territory. She keyed her mic. All stations, weapons tight. They're here. Where? Voss asked. I don't see anything. You won't. Not until they want you to. Maya scanned the tree lines, the ridges, the approaches, looking for the things that did not belong, the shapes that were too regular, the shadows that fell wrong. She had been on the other side of this equation too many times, knew exactly how to hide in plain sight. There, eastern tree line, 600 meters from the candidate positions, a shadow that was slightly darker than the others, too round, too perfect. Contact, eastern tree line, 600 meters from candidates, single shooter. Chen's voice came back immediately. I don't see it. Trust me, it's there. 60 seconds passed. Then Chen again, quieter now. I see it. Jesus, if you hadn't pointed it out. That's one, Maya said. Assume 3 more minimum. They'll be spread out, covering different angles. She continued scanning, found another. This one in the rocks north of the main building. 700 meters. Good position for interdicting anyone trying to leave. A third shooter was somewhere in the warehouse district west, She could not see that one, but knew it had to be there. Basic tactics. Cover all the exits. Where was Viper? The woman would not be in an overwatch position. Too impersonal. Too distant. Viper wanted to be close. Wanted to see Maya's face when the collection came due. Which meant she was in the complex itself, already inside. Waiting. Maya stood and moved away from the window. If Viper was inside, staying in one place meant death. She had to keep moving, stay unpredictable. Her radio crackled, but not with a voice, with a feedback squeal that made everyone wince. Then silence. Then a woman's voice, accented, calm, almost amused. Hello, Ghost. Viper had hacked their frequency. I see you brought friends. How sweet. But we both know this ends with you and me, downstairs, alone. Or I signal my teams. Your Marines die. Your student die. Everyone you've come to care about dies. Maya did not respond. Giving Viper her voice would only feed the monster. 30 seconds, Ghost, or the killing starts. Hardwick's voice cut in. Flynn, do not comply. We can take them. 20 seconds. Chen, we have eyes on 2 shooters. We can drop them simultaneously. 15 seconds. Voss, Flynn, stay where you are. That's an order. 10 seconds. Oh, and your students? The ones 400 meters south? My teams have been in the tree line behind them since 0300 this morning. All night, waiting. They won't even see it coming. Maya's blood went cold, behind the candidates, since 0300, while everyone slept, while they deployed. Viper's people had been there the whole time, planting, waiting. She had not seen shooters there, had not even thought to look, because she had assumed Viper would focus on the building, on her. Tactical error, maybe fatal. 5 seconds. Maya made her decision, keyed her mic. All stations, stand by. I'm going down. Negative, Hardwick barked. That's not the plan. Plans change, Master Gunnery Sergeant. If I don't go, people die. She moved to the stairs, started descending. Each step echoed in the empty building. Each floor brought her closer to whatever waited below. Ground floor, darkness despite the morning sun. The windows here were boarded or covered with grime. Shadows pooled in corners like spilled ink. Very good, Ghost. Viper's voice came from the darkness ahead. Not the radio, in person. You always were smarter than you looked. Maya stopped. Let her eyes adjust. Shapes emerged. A figure standing 20 feet away. Tall, lean, that scar catching the dim light. Viper stepped forward. She wore tactical clothing. Black, functional, no armor. Just confidence in the kind of presence that came from surviving things that killed everyone else. Finally, Viper said, face to face, you got what you wanted. Let the others go. Did I say I wanted to let them go? I said I wouldn't kill them yet. There's a difference. What do you want? What I've wanted for 3 years. To make you suffer. To take from you what you took from me. Viper circled slowly, keeping distance. My brother was all I had, the only family. And you murdered him. He was a terrorist, a legitimate target. I did my job. Your job. Viper's laugh was bitter. You stood on a hill and shot a man from safety. Called it service. Called it honor. But what it really was, Ghost, was cowardice. Maya did not rise to the bait. If you want revenge, take it. But leave the Marines out of this. Oh, I will take it. But first, you need to understand what you've cost me. 3 years. 3 years of hunting you, learning you, watching from the shadows while you pretended to be normal. Did you really think you could walk away? Join the regular world? Train children to kill like you kill? I was trying to do something good, pass on knowledge, save lives. By teaching more killers? Viper shook her head. You're still lying to yourself. Still pretending you're anything other than what we both know you are. A weapon. That's all. That's all we'll ever be. Maya's hand drifted toward her sidearm. Subtle, slow. Viper saw it. Don't, I'm not armed. I don't believe you. Then search me. A bluff? A trap? Maya did not know, but she needed to buy time. Needed to keep Viper talking while the Overwatch teams repositioned. While someone, somewhere, figured out how to turn this around. Why wait 3 years, Maya asked. If you wanted revenge, you could have taken it any time. Because quick revenge is empty. I wanted you to build something, find people you cared about, students, friends, a life. Then I wanted to take it all away. Show you that people like us don't get happy endings. We get what we deserve. And what's that? Loneliness, pain, death, in that order. Outside in the tree line behind the candidates, something moved. Maya saw it through a gap in the boards covering the windows. A figure rising, weapon coming up. No time to warn, no time to think. She drew and fired through the window. The board exploded. The figure outside jerked and fell. Viper lunged, but Maya was already moving, diving left as a knife flashed through the space where she had been standing. They crashed together, both fighting for position. Viper was taller, stronger. Maya was faster, more desperate. They rolled across the concrete floor, trading blows. Viper got on top, knife descending. Maya caught her wrist, held it inches from her throat, muscles trembling, strength against strength. "You're good," Viper hissed, "but not good enough." The knife crept closer. Maya could smell gun oil and old sweat and something else. Something like rage that had been burning for so long it had become part of the person carrying it. Maya brought her knee up hard into Viper's side. The woman grunted but did not relent. The knife kept coming, 2 inches from Maya's throat, 1 inch. Then gunfire erupted outside. Automatic weapons, return fire from the candidates, shouting. Chaos. Viper's head snapped toward the sound, 1 second of distraction. Maya twisted, throwing her weight sideways. Viper lost balance. They separated, both scrambling to their feet. The knife was gone, kicked away in the struggle. Maya's pistol had slid under debris. They faced each other, both breathing hard, both bleeding from small cuts, both knowing the fight was not over. "Your students are dying out there," Viper said. "Every second you waste with me is another one down." "Then call off your people." "Why would I do that?" "Because this is between us. You said so yourself." Viper smiled, blood on her teeth from a split lip. "I lied." She whistled, sharp, loud. Outside, the gunfire intensified. Then came a sound that made Maya's blood freeze. An explosion, then another, then screaming. "Mines," Viper said pleasantly, "planted all night around the southern perimeter. Your students are running right into them." Maya ran, did not think, did not plan, just ran for the exit. Viper tried to grab her, but she was already past, hitting the door at full speed, emerging into chaos. The candidate positions were in disarray. Some Marines were down, others were returning fire at muzzle flashes in the tree lines, and several were running, fleeing the gunfire, moving south. Directly into the minefield Viper had planted during the night, Maya saw Kane at the edge, his boot coming down toward a tripwire barely visible in the weeds. "Kane, freeze!" Her voice cut through the chaos. He heard, stopped, looked down, saw the wire. His face went white. "Don't move, anyone. Do not move south." Maya ran toward them, scanning the ground, seeing the pattern now. Tripwires every few meters, pressure plates hidden under leaves. Some mines, some just psyop, designed to freeze them in place while Viper's shooters cut them down. She reached Kane, knelt beside him. "Easy, don't shift your weight." "Sergeant, I can't hold this position. My leg's cramping." "Yes, you can. Remember what I taught you. Breathing, control. You can do this." She talked him through it. Slow breaths, calm heart. While around them, the firefight continued. Chen's team engaging targets on the eastern ridge. Voss laying down covering fire from the warehouse roof. Hardwick's voice on the radio calling for EOD support. But EOD was 20 minutes out. The candidates were in the minefield now, and Viper's shooters were still out there. Maya made a decision. Left Kane frozen in place. Moved to the next candidate. Lee, also on a wire. "Corporal, you're doing great. Just like Kane, breathe, stay calm." "Roger, Sergeant." She moved to Davis. Rodriguez, one by one, talking each one through the terror, using the breathing techniques she had taught them, the patience she had tried to instill. Lee called out, "Sergeant, I can guide Cooper from here. I see his wire. I can talk him through." "Do it, Corporal." The candidates began helping each other, calling out dangers, mapping safe paths together, the training kicking in, the bonds they had formed holding them together. It took 40 minutes of constant exposure, of waiting for a sniper's bullet, of expecting at any moment that Viper would make good on her threats. But the bullet never came. When the last candidate was clear, when EOD had confirmed 11 mines and 17 dummies, when the casualties had been counted and treated, 2 with minor wounds from shrapnel, 0 KYA, Maya stood in the middle of it all and tried to understand. Viper had them dead to rights, could have killed dozens, could have made Maya watch her students die. But she had not. Why? Hardwick approached, his face grim. "Flynn, we need to talk." They walked away from the others, away from the candidates who were being checked by medics, away from the instructors who were sweeping for additional threats. "She let us go," Maya said. "I know. I don't understand why." Maybe she wanted you to know she could have killed them, wanted you to live with that. Or maybe, Maya stopped, a thought forming. Or maybe she wanted something else. Like what? I don't know yet. But she was starting to suspect, starting to see a pattern. Viper had every advantage, every opportunity, could have ended this a dozen different ways. Instead, she had chosen the one path that left everyone alive. That was not revenge. That was something else. The convoy returned to Quantico late that afternoon. Everyone was exhausted, shaken. The candidates were quiet, processing what they had survived. The instructors were grim, running the after-action in their heads, trying to figure out what they had missed. Maya sat alone in the back of the Humvee, staring at her hands. They were steady now. But earlier, when she had been guiding Kane away from the tripwire, they had trembled. Fear. Not for herself, for him, for all of them. When had she started to care? When had these strangers become people she would risk everything to protect? She did not know, but the answer did not matter. The caring was there. Real. Undeniable. And Viper had seen it, had proven that Maya would choose them over revenge, would let the enemy escape to save the innocent. That was the point. That was the lesson. You can't protect anyone. You're still alone, and anything you love, I can take away. The message was clear. This was not over. This was just beginning. They arrived at base at 1800 hours. The candidates were sent to barracks with orders to rest. The instructors gathered in Hardwick's office for debriefing. Hale joined via secure video feed. "Sitrep," he said without preamble. Hardwick ran through it. The ambush, the minefield, the casualties, minimal as they were. The fact that Viper had escaped along with at least 3 of her team. "She played us," Voss said bitterly. "Knew exactly what we'd do, where we'd be." "She's had 3 years to study Maya," Chen pointed out. "She knows how we think." "Then how do we stop her?" Hardwick asked. Silence. No one had an answer. Hale's face on the screen was thoughtful. "Sergeant Flynn, you fought her hand-to-hand. What's your assessment?" Maya considered. "She's skilled, well-trained, but there was something off. She could have killed me. Multiple opportunities. Chose not to. Why? I think she wants me to suffer more than she wants me dead. She's playing a longer game." "Then we need to change the game," Hale said. "No more waiting, no more reacting. We go on the offensive, hunt her instead of being hunted." "With respect, sir," Maya said quietly. "She'll see that coming too. She's always 3 moves ahead. Then we make a move she doesn't expect." "Like what?" Hale leaned forward. "You tell me, Sergeant. You know her. You've been doing this almost as long as she has. If you were planning the next move, what would it be?" Maya closed her eyes. Thought like Viper. Patient, ruthless, always escalating, always choosing the option that caused maximum psychological damage. "She'll hit the candidates again," Maya said, opening her eyes. "But not in the field. Somewhere they feel safe. Somewhere I told them they were safe." "The barracks," Chen breathed. "Yes, she'll prove that nowhere is safe. That my protection means nothing." Hardwick stood. "Then we evacuate. Move the candidates off base. Secure location." "That's exactly what she wants," Maya said. "She wants us running, scattered, easier to pick off one by one." "So what do we do?" Maya looked at each of them. Hardwick with his battlefield competence. Chen with her quiet strength. Voss with his stubborn loyalty. Good people. People who deserve better than to be caught in a war that was not theirs. "We do what I should have done from the start," Maya said. "I face her, alone, on ground of my choosing. End this once and for all." "Absolutely not," Hardwick said. "We're not letting you go off half-cocked into a suicide mission. It's not suicide if I choose the terrain, if I prepare properly, if I do what I was trained to do." "You were trained to operate alone," Chen said. "You don't have to anymore. You have us. Which is exactly why I need to do this alone. She's targeting you because of me. Remove me from the equation, remove the target." Hale's voice cut through. "Sergeant Flynn makes a valid tactical argument, but I'm not authorizing a solo operation against a target this dangerous. Compromise. You draw her out, but we provide overwatch. Distant, invisible. Insurance." Maya wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. Pride and stubbornness would not win this fight. Only smart tactics would. "Fine, but I choose when and where, and no one moves until I give the signal." Agreed. The meeting broke up. Everyone had assignments, preparations to make, but as Maya stood to leave, Hardwick stopped her. "Flynn, a word." They stepped outside. The sun was setting, painting Quantico in shades of orange and red. Beautiful in the way that things are beautiful when you might not see them again. You care about them, Hardwick said. The candidates. I can see it. Is that a problem, Master Gunnery Sergeant? No, it's human. For 6 years, you operated alone. No attachments, no weaknesses. But now you have both. That changes the equation. I know. Does it make you stronger or weaker? Maya considered. I don't know yet, but I'm about to find out. Hardwick nodded, started to walk away, then turned back. For what it's worth, Sergeant, I'm glad you're on our side. He left her standing there as darkness fell over the base. Over the barracks where young Marines slept, unaware of the danger. Over the ranges where she had tried to become something other than a weapon. Over all of it, Maya pulled out her satellite phone, turned it on, waited. At 2200 hours, it vibrated. One message from Viper. You chose them over me. Mistake. Tomorrow they pay, then you. Maya stared at the screen, then typed a response. The first communication she had initiated. Name the place. I'll come alone. The reply came instantly. Arlington. Tomb of the Unknown. Dawn. Come alone or they die first. Arlington National Cemetery. Where America's warriors rested. Where honor and sacrifice were carved in stone. Viper had chosen well. Symbolic ground. Sacred ground. Ground where Maya would either end this or die trying. She walked to the candidate barracks. Most were asleep. But Kane was sitting on his bunk, cleaning his rifle, still too wired to rest. Lee sat across from him, both of them talking quietly. Sergeant? Kane said, surprised. Everything okay? Just checking on you, Marines. How are the legs? Little sore, Kane admitted. But we're good, thanks to you. Lee added, what you did today, Sergeant, guiding us through that minefield. We won't forget it. Maya sat on an empty bunk. Kane, Lee, listen to me. Tomorrow, stay close to the other instructors. Do exactly what they say. Don't take chances. Don't be heroes. Sergeant, you're scaring us, Lee said quietly. What's happening tomorrow? She wanted to tell them, wanted to warn them, but operational security mattered. And sometimes kindness looked like keeping people ignorant. Just trust me, please. They both nodded. Kane said, we trust you. You saved our lives today, all our lives. Then stay safe tomorrow. That's all I ask. She stood to leave. Kane's voice stopped her. Sergeant Flynn, are you going somewhere? Maya looked back at them. Young, earnest, alive because she had chosen to save them instead of pursuing her enemy. Maybe, but if I do, it's to keep all of you safe. We're Marines, Sergeant, Lee said. We can take care of ourselves. I know, but let me take care of you anyway, just this once. She left before they could respond, walked back to her quarters, packed her rifle, loaded her magazines, wrote a letter to Hardwick explaining everything, sealed it, left it on her desk. At 0300 hours, she slipped out of her quarters and headed for the motor pool. The challenge came at 0315. Base security, a young corporal who recognized her. Sergeant Flynn, bit early for a workout. Couldn't sleep. Thought I'd do some night shooting at the range. He looked at her rifle case, her tactical vest, the amount of ammunition she carried. Too much for a workout, not enough for a war. Sergeant, I'm going to need to report this. I understand, but could you give me a 30-minute head start? Please. He studied her face, saw something there that made him step back. 30 minutes, then I call it in. Thank you, Corporal. She drove out the main gate at 0320. No one stopped her. No one knew she was gone. Not yet. Behind her, Quantico slept. Unaware that miles away in Arlington National Cemetery, two ghosts were about to meet for the final time. And only one would walk away. But first, Viper had one more move to make. One more lesson to teach about the price of caring, of attachment, of trying to be more than a weapon. At 0400 hours, in the candidate barracks at Quantico, an explosion tore through the southern wall. The blast was massive, shaped charge, professionally placed, designed to maximize casualties while maintaining structural integrity. Marines scrambled from their bunks. Fire alarms screamed. Sprinklers activated. Smoke filled the corridors. Kane woke to chaos, his ears ringing, his vision blurred, something wet on his face. Blood, not his. The Marine in the bunk next to him was not moving. He crawled through the debris, found Lee. Corporal, you good? Yeah, Davis is down. Rodriguez too. They worked together, pulling Marines from the rubble, applying pressure to wounds, carrying the unconscious toward the exits. Other candidates helped, working as a team despite the pain and fear. The training Maya had given them, the patience, the control. It all kicked in now when it mattered most. Hardwick arrived at 0410, saw the devastation, saw the candidates pulling each other to safety, saw the spray-painted message on one intact wall, round 2, stop running, Face me, Arlington Cemetery, tomb of the unknown, dawn, come alone or more die. Below the message coordinates and a signature. V. Hardwick pulled out his phone, called Maya, no answer, called again, voicemail. He ran to her quarters, found the door unlocked, found the letter on her desk, ripped it open. The words confirmed what he already knew. She was gone, heading to Arlington, alone, to end this the only way she knew how. By becoming the weapon one more time. Hardwick looked at Chen and Voss, who had followed him. Get every available body, full tactical load. We're going to Arlington. Sir, she said to come alone, Chen protested. And I say we're Marines. We don't abandon our own. Move. They moved. But in the back of everyone's mind was the same question. Would they get there in time? Or would they arrive to find their ghost had finally been collected? Dawn was coming, and with it, the reckoning. Arlington National Cemetery stood silent in the pre-dawn darkness, 624 acres of hallowed ground where America's warriors rested beneath white headstones that stretched in perfect rows toward horizons Maya could not see. The tomb of the unknown soldier rose ahead, marble and granite catching the first whispers of coming light. Eternal flame, eternal guard, eternal memory. This was where Viper had chosen to end it. Maya arrived at 0500 hours. The gates were locked, but that meant nothing to someone with her training. She went over the fence at a maintenance section, her rifle case strapped across her back, moving through the darkness like smoke through air. No guards saw her. No cameras caught her. She was a ghost in a city of ghosts. She made her way toward the tomb, using the headstones for cover, scanning constantly for threats. Viper would not be alone, would have backup position, overwatch, kill teams. This was an ambush wearing the face of a duel. But Maya had expected that, had planned for it, had spent the drive from Quantico thinking through every angle, every approach, every possible configuration of forces. She was outnumbered, outgunned, operating on enemy-chosen terrain. All she had was patience, and the certain knowledge that this ended today one way or another. The tomb loomed ahead, empty at this hour. The changing of the guard would not happen for another 2 hours. Just stone and silence and the weight of history pressing down like a physical thing. Maya found a position behind the amphitheater, elevated with clear sight lines to the tomb plaza. She set up her rifle, checked her magazines, EA rounds loaded, her mother's gift for when she needed them most. Now qualified as most. She settled in to wait, breathing slow, heart rate dropping, becoming still the way she had become still on 100 other operations in a dozen other countries. The world narrowed to the reticle and the target zone and the space between. Dawn broke over Arlington at 0543, pink and gold light spilling across white marble, beautiful in the way that sacred places are beautiful, the kind of beauty that makes you remember why some things are worth dying for. Movement, Eastern approach. 2 figures, moving with tactical precision, weapons up, scanning. Maya tracked them through her scope. Mercenaries? Syrian, maybe. Definitely professional. They took positions on either side of the tomb, covering approaches, waiting. More movement. Western approach. Another 2. Same discipline, same coordination. 4 so far, probably 2 more she could not see. Standard 6-man team. And somewhere in all of this, Viper herself. Maya waited. The sun climbed higher. 600 meters away, she saw movement on the Arlington House Ridge. A glint of glass. Spotter scope. 5th shooter, overwatch position with commanding view of the entire area. She made note, adjusted her assessment, 5 confirmed, at least 1 more unaccounted for. Her radio, turned to an open frequency, crackled to life. You came, Viper's voice, calm, almost pleased. I wasn't sure you would. Maya did not respond. Giving away her position by transmitting would be suicide. Strong silent type, I respect that. But we both know you're here, I can feel you. The way predators feel each other. A pause. Come down, Ghost. Let's finish this face to face, or my teams start killing the stragglers, the morning joggers, the early visitors, innocent blood on your hands. Maya scanned the perimeter, saw them now. 3 civilians, joggers who had entered through a different gate, unaware of the danger. One of Viper's shooters had shifted position, now covering them. Leverage. Hostages without knowing they were hostages. Maya made her decision. She could not take the shot from here. Too much distance, too many variables. And innocence in the equation changed everything. She broke down her rifle, packed it, stood, and walked toward the tomb like a woman walking toward her own execution. She emerged into the plaza, empty-handed, her rifle in its case on her back, sidearm holstered, no immediate threat. Viper stood at the base of the tomb, waiting. She wore black tactical gear, no rifle visible, but Maya knew she was armed. Pistol minimum, probably blade, maybe more. They faced each other across 30 feet of sacred ground. "You look tired," Viper said. "Rough night?" "You bombed the barracks, hurt my students. Proved a point, that you can't protect anyone, that everywhere you go, death follows." "How many did you kill?" "None yet. They're injured, some critical, but alive." Viper smiled. "For now, whether they stay that way depends on you." "What do you want?" "I told you, I want you to suffer, to understand what you took from me. Your brother was a terrorist. He deserved what he got." "Did he?" Viper took a step closer. "Let me tell you about my brother, Ghost. About the man you killed from comfort and safety. I know what he was. I read the file. You read intelligence reports, sanitized, approved, but you don't know the truth." Another step. "Rashid wasn't born a monster. We grew up in Aleppo. Normal childhood, normal family. Our father was a teacher, our mother a nurse. We had a good life." Maya said nothing. Let her talk. Every second of talking was a second Maya could use to assess, to plan. Then the war came. Not the recent war, the earlier one you probably don't even remember. Just another conflict in a long list of conflicts. But it was our home burning, our family dying. Viper's voice remained steady, but something underneath it had teeth. "Our parents were killed in a bombing. Precision strike on what intelligence said was a weapons depot. It was a hospital. I'm sorry for your loss, but that doesn't justify what he became." "I'm not finished." The words cracked like a whip. "Rashid was 16, I was 14. We had nothing, no family, no home, no future. The only people who would take us in were the fighters, the radicals, the ones who promised revenge." She circled slowly. Maya tracked her, hands ready, not threatening, not yet. "Rashid became what they made him, a killer, a coordinator, a terrorist, if you want to use your word. But I saw what he really was, a broken boy who never got to heal, who never got to be anything except what war created." "And you?" Maya asked quietly. "What did war create in you?" "The same thing it created in you, Ghost, a weapon, nothing more." They stood in silence, the sun warming the marble around them, the eternal flame flickering. Guard post empty. "I didn't want him dead to avenge him," Viper said finally. "I wanted him dead to free myself from him, from what we had become. I was planning to kill him, finally escape. Then you took that choice from me, took my agency, my ability to control my own fate." Understanding dawned on Maya's face. "This isn't about revenge for his death. It's about revenge for taking your choice. Yes, you killed him and the intelligence community gave me an exit, new identity, clean break. But it wasn't my choice. It was yours. You made the decision. You pulled the trigger. You determined my future without ever knowing I existed. I was following orders, doing my job. So was I. Every mission, every kill, just following orders, just doing the job. But that's a lie we tell ourselves, isn't it?" Viper stopped circling, faced Maya directly. "We choose. Every time we line up a shot, every time we pull a trigger, we choose and we have to live with those choices." "Then what do you want from me? An apology? Penance? What?" "I want you to make a choice, a real one, with full knowledge of the consequences." Viper pulled a pistol from her holster, but instead of aiming it at Maya, she set it on the ground between them. Stepped back. "Pick it up. Shoot me. End this. You have the skill, the justification. I've hurt your students, threatened your people. This is self-defense by any definition." Maya stared at the weapon, then at Viper. "What's the catch?" "No catch. You kill me, my teams stand down. I've given them those orders. They watch this plaza. They see you execute me. They leave. Everyone goes home. Your students survive. Your new life continues. And if I don't, then we fight, hand to hand, no weapons. Old school. Winner walks away. Loser stays here forever." She gestured to the headstones surrounding them. "Appropriate, don't you think? Warrior's ground." Maya looked at the pistol. Easy solution. Quick. Clean. Everything military training had taught her. Eliminate the threat, accomplish the mission, survive. But something in Viper's eyes made her pause. This was a test, not of skill, of something else. Why, Maya asked. Why give me this choice? Because I want to know if you're still just a weapon, or if you've become something more. The woman who saved her students yesterday, who chose them over revenge, who guided a terrified Marine away from a mine when she could have been hunting me. Viper's smile was sad. I want to know if people like us can change, or if we're forever locked into what we were made to be. Maya stood very still, thinking, calculating, not trajectories and wind, but consequences, futures, the weight of choices made and choices yet to make. She could take the shot, should take the shot. Viper was a threat, demonstrated, ongoing. Putting a bullet in her brain was tactically sound, morally defensible, legally justified. But it was also exactly what the old Maya would have done. The weapon Maya, the one who saw only targets in missions in the cold calculus of violence. The woman she had been trying to leave behind. Maya stepped over the pistol, left it on the ground, raised her hands, empty, open. No guns, we do this your way. Viper's eyes widened, genuine surprise. You're choosing to fight me hand to hand? I'm taller, stronger, better trained in close combat. I know, but I'm choosing anyway, because you're right. We need to know if we can be more than weapons. And weapons don't make choices. People do. For a long moment, they stood there. Two women, two warriors, two ghosts trying to figure out if haunting was all they were good for. Then Viper smiled, real this time, reaching her eyes. All right, ghost, let's see what you're made of. They moved together, fast, brutal, trading blows with the precision of professional fighters who had been doing this since they were children. Viper threw a combination. Jab, cross, hook. Maya blocked, deflected, countered. Leg sweep. Viper jumped it, countered with a spinning back fist that caught Maya's shoulder. They separated, circled, breathing hard already. This was not sport. This was survival. Viper came in again, grappling this time, got inside Maya's guard. Hip throw. Maya hit the marble hard enough to see stars. Viper followed her down. Knee to the ribs. Maya gasped, rolled, barely escaped an elbow that would have caved in her skull. She gained her feet, tasted blood. Her vision swam, but she stayed focused. Viper was right. Bigger, stronger, better at this kind of fighting. But Maya had something Viper did not expect. Patience. She stopped attacking, started defending, blocking, deflecting, making Viper come to her, letting the other woman expend energy, burn through adrenaline, get frustrated. Viper threw a heavy overhand right. Maya slipped it. Not far, just enough. The fist passed an inch from her face. Viper was off balance, extended. Maya struck, not to the head, to the already injured thigh from their first fight. The knife wound from days ago, she kicked it hard. Viper grunted, leg buckled. She caught herself, but the damage was done. Movement compromised, speed reduced. They faced each other again. Both bleeding, both breathing hard, both knowing this could only end one way. You fight smarter than I expected, Viper said. You taught me that. Syria, when you spotted my hide position, you showed me that sometimes the best shot is the one you don't take. And what shot are you not taking now? The one that ends this with death. I could have shot you, could finish you now, but I'm choosing not to. Why, Bashir? Mercy? Weakness? Understanding. You lost your choice once, I won't take it again. Viper stared at her, then laughed, sharp, bitter. You're offering me what? Redemption? A second chance? That's not how our world works, Ghost. Maybe it should. They stood in the growing light, the sun fully risen now, the cemetery coming alive with early visitors. The moment stretched, pregnant with possibility. Then Viper's radio crackled. A voice, urgent, Arabic. Viper, we have multiple vehicles approaching. Military, armed, ETA 2 minutes. Viper keyed her mic. Stand down, fall back to secondary positions. Do not engage. But our orders were to eliminate all threats if you were compromised. That's an order. Withdraw, now. She looked at Maya. Your friends are coming. The Marine you work with, Hardwick. He didn't let you come alone after all. He's not the type to abandon people. No, I suppose he's not. Viper took a step back, then another. This isn't over, Ghost, but it's not going to end the way I planned either. What will you do? What I should have done 3 years ago. Disappear. Really disappear. Find out if there's a life for people like us after the killing stops. She paused at the edge of the plaza. And you? Same. Try to be more than I was. Teach instead of kill. Protect instead of destroy. Think you can do it? I'm going to try. Viper nodded slowly. Good luck, Maya Flynn. I hope you succeed. I really do. What about your teams? The threats? Consider them withdrawn. I meant what I said. You won. Not because you beat me, but because you chose differently. That's worth something. She started to turn, then stopped. One more thing. The barracks bombing, I use minimum charges. Place them to maximize shock, minimize casualties. I wanted to scare you, not murder children. They're Marines, not children. They're younger than we were when we started killing. That makes them children in my book. A last look. Take care of them, Ghost. They're lucky to have you. Then she was gone, slipping between the headstones like shadow. By the time Maya could have pursued, Viper had vanished completely. The sound of vehicles grew louder. Humvees. 3 of them. Screaming through the cemetery gates, coming fast. Maya stood in the plaza, bleeding, exhausted, alive. The vehicles screeched to a halt. Doors flew open. Hardwick was first out, rifle up, scanning for threats. Chen and Voss right behind him. A dozen Marines deployed in tactical formation. They saw Maya, alone, standing, no visible enemy. Hardwick lowered his weapon, crossed the plaza, looked at her torn uniform, the blood on her face, the emptiness of the space around her. Where is she? Gone. Dead? No, just gone. Flynn, she bombed the barracks, hurt your students. We can't just let her walk. She won't be back. I'm sure of it. How can you be sure? Maya looked at him. At Chen, at Voss, at all of them. Good people who had come to save her despite the risk, despite the odds, because that's what Marines did. They did not abandon their own. Because I gave her something she wasn't expecting. A choice. And she made it. Hardwick studied her face, saw something there that had not been there before. Something that looked almost like peace. The students, Maya said, Kane, Lee, the others, how bad? Kane's critical but stable. Severe burns, shrapnel wounds, multiple surgeries ahead, months of recovery. Hardwick's voice softened. But he'll live. Lee took shrapnel to the arm, stable. Davis has a concussion. Rodriguez broken ribs. 4 others minor injuries. No KIA. Maya's knees almost buckled. The relief was physical, overwhelming. Thank God. Yeah, thank God. And thank whoever designed the barracks to code. That explosion should have killed a dozen Marines. Instead, it just scared the hell out of them. Chen approached. Maya, are you all right? It was the first time the gunnery sergeant had used her first name. The informality of it, the care in it, broke something loose in Maya's chest. I don't know, she said honestly. Ask me in a week. Fair enough, let's get you to medical. You look like you went 10 rounds. Felt like it too. They walked back to the Humvees. Maya looked back once at the tomb, at the eternal flame, at the sacred ground where she and Viper had fought not just each other, but the demons they both carried. She did not know if Viper would keep her word, did not know if the woman would truly disappear, or if this was just another long game. But Maya had made her choice, had decided that mercy was more powerful than vengeance, that breaking cycles was more important than perpetuating them. Time would tell if she was right. The convoy drove back to Quantico in silence. Maya sat in the back of Hardwick's Humvee, watching Virginia roll past. Morning light on trees, civilians going about their lives, normal people doing normal things. Could she ever be one of them? Or was she forever marked by what she had done, what she had been? She did not have answers, but for the first time in 6 years, she was willing to ask the questions. Quantico appeared ahead. The gates, the buildings, the ranges where she had tried to become something other than a weapon. The barracks where her students had almost died because of her. The barracks. The damage was worse than Hardwick had made it sound. The entire southern wall was gone, blackened, charred. Fire crews had it contained, but the structure would need to be demolished and rebuilt. But the candidates were alive. That was what mattered. Maya went straight to the base hospital, found Kane's room. He was unconscious, bandaged, monitors beeping. Burns covered his left arm and part of his face. He looked young, vulnerable, nothing like the cocky Marine who had called her a librarian 3 weeks ago. She sat beside his bed, did not speak, just sat, watching him breathe. grateful for every rise and fall of his chest. A nurse came in. "Are you family?" "No, his instructor. He's stable. The doctors are optimistic. Multiple surgeries ahead, skin grafts, physical therapy, but he'll make a full recovery." "Can I stay?" "For a little while, but he needs rest." Maya nodded. The nurse left. Maya sat alone with the machines and the antiseptic smell and the terrible weight of responsibility. "I'm sorry," she whispered to the unconscious Marine. "I brought this to you, to all of you. I should have left when I had the chance." Kane's hand twitched. His eyes opened, unfocused, drugged, but aware. "Sergeant?" His voice was rough, damaged by smoke. "I'm here. Did we win?" Maya thought about that, about Viper disappearing, about the choices made, about what winning actually meant. "Yeah, Marine, we won." "Good." His eyes closed again. "Knew you wouldn't let us down." He slipped back under. Maya stayed another 10 minutes, then stood, placed her hand briefly on his shoulder, the unburned one. "Heal up, Kane, that's an order." She visited Lee next, arm bandaged, sitting up in bed, alert. "Sergeant Flynn, you're back. How's the arm, Corporal?" "Hurts like hell, but I'll live. Thanks to what you taught us. We stayed calm, helped each other, got everyone out." "You did good, Lee. All of you did." "Kane saved Davis, pulled him out when the wall came down. Kid's a hero." Maya smiled. "He learned from the best." She left the hospital and walked across base. Marines stared. Word had spread. About Arlington, about the fight, about the ghost finally becoming visible. She ignored the stares, walked to Hardwick's office. He was there with Chen and Voss, reviewing after-action reports. "Flynn," he said, "sit." She sat, waited. "Colonel Hale wants a full debrief. Everything that happened at Arlington, everything Viper said. He's not happy you let her walk." "I know. He's also recommending you for commendation, something classified, for service above and beyond." His words, not mine. Maya said nothing. "The candidates, all 12, they want to see you, thank you. Some of them are calling you a hero." "I'm not a hero. I'm the reason they got hurt in the first place." Hardwick leaned forward. "Listen to me, Sergeant. You did not plant that bomb. You did not fire the shots. You did not create the situation. A terrorist did, and you ended it. Without killing anyone, without creating more bodies. That takes strength most people don't have. Feels like weakness. Mercy is never weakness. It's the hardest choice there is." Chen spoke up. "The students want you to keep teaching. They've submitted a petition to the commandant, signed by all 12, asking that you be made permanent instructor staff." Maya looked up. "They what?" "They want you here, teaching them, showing them there's another way to fight." "I don't understand. I almost got them killed." "No," Voss said quietly. "You saved them at the minefield. When you could have chased Viper but chose to guide them out instead. They know that. They'll never forget it." Maya sat back, processing, trying to make sense of a world where she was wanted instead of feared, where her past did not define her future. "What do I do?" she asked. "You decide," Hardwick said. "Stay or go. Teach or return to the field. Your choice. For the first time in your career, entirely your choice." Maya thought about Kane in the hospital bed, about Lee with his bandaged arm, about the candidates who had signed a petition, about Chen and Voss and Hardwick who had come to Arlington despite the risk, about Viper walking away instead of fighting to the death, about choices and consequences in the long road from weapon to warrior to something beyond. "I'll stay," she said. "For now, see how it goes." "Good." Hardwick stood, extended his hand. "Welcome to the cadre, Sergeant Flynn." She shook it, felt the calluses, the strength, the respect. It felt like coming home. 3 months passed. Kane was released from the hospital after the 3rd surgery. His burns would scar, but he would heal. The skin grafts had taken. Physical therapy was brutal, but he attacked it with the same intensity he had brought to training. He would return to duty, eventually. Lee recovered fully within 6 weeks. Back to training, back to leading by quiet example. Davis, Rodriguez, the others, all recovered, all returned, all continued. The program expanded. Colonel Hale secured funding for a permanent precision engagement school. Maya was named senior instructor. Chen and Voss stayed on. Together they built something new, something better. Word spread through the special operations community, the ghost who had become a teacher. Marines requested her courses, SEALs, Rangers, Special Forces operators. She taught them all, shared everything she knew, held nothing back. Slowly, quietly, she stopped being a weapon and became something else. A guardian, a guide, a voice saying there were choices even in the darkest moments. On a Monday morning in January, Maya stood at the front of a new classroom. 12 fresh candidates, straight from the fleet, young, nervous, eager. She looked at their faces, saw Kane in some, Lee in others, the same mix of confidence and uncertainty that every class brought. Good morning, Marines. I'm Sergeant Flynn. For the next 12 weeks, I'll be teaching you advanced precision engagement techniques. This course will test you in ways you haven't been tested before. Some of you will struggle, some will fail, but those who make it through will learn something that could save your life and the lives of your teammates. She paused. Let that sink in. We're going to start with the foundation, something most instructors save for later. But I think it's the most important thing you'll learn here. One brave candidate raised his hand. What's that, Sergeant? Maya smiled. Not the careful, controlled expression she had worn for 6 years in the field, but something genuine, something earned. Patience. It's the most powerful weapon you'll ever learn to use. Not speed, not aggression. Patience. The ability to wait for the right moment, to make the hard choice. To know when not to pull the trigger is just as important as knowing when to fire. She walked to the board, wrote in clear letters, "Patience is power." In the field, you will face moments where every instinct tells you to act, to shoot, to move, to do something, anything. This course will teach you to override those instincts, to wait, to breathe, to let the moment come to you instead of forcing it. The candidates watched, some skeptical, some intrigued, all paying attention. Over the next 12 weeks, you're going to learn breathing techniques that will drop your heart rate to levels you didn't think possible. You'll learn to read wind patterns most people can't see. You'll learn to make shots that shouldn't be possible. But more importantly, you'll learn patience, control, the mental discipline that separates good snipers from great ones. She picked up a rifle from the demonstration table. This is a tool, precise, effective, deadly in the right hands. But it's still just a tool. What makes the difference is the person behind it, the choices they make, the control they have, the patience they've earned. One candidate in the back reminded her of Kane, raised his hand. Sergeant, we've heard stories about you, about missions. Is it true you hold the record for longest confirmed kill? Maya met his eyes, saw the hunger for glory, for recognition, the same hunger she had seen in Kane 3 months ago. Records don't matter, Marine. What matters is the mission, the teammates counting on you, the innocent lives you're protecting. If you're here for glory or records, you're in the wrong place. This isn't about being the best shot. It's about being the right shot at the right time. The candidate nodded, chastened but understanding. Now, everyone up. We're going to start with the basics. Breathing, heart rate control, the foundation everything else builds on. Pair up. We're heading to the range. They moved, eager, uncertain, ready to learn. As they filed out, one candidate lingered. A corporal named Martinez, slight build, quiet, reminded Maya of herself. Sergeant Flynn, can I ask you something? Go ahead, Corporal. Some of the guys, they're worried. They heard about what happened, the bombing, the attack. They're wondering if being in your class makes them targets. Maya looked at her, saw the concern, the fear, the courage it took to ask the question everyone else was thinking. Tell them this, Corporal. Being a Marine makes you a target. That's the job. But being in my class means I will do everything in my power to bring you home safe. I will teach you skills that could save your life. And if danger comes, I will face it before it reaches you. That's my promise. Martinez nodded slowly. That's what I thought, Sergeant. Thank you. She left. Maya stood alone in the empty classroom for a moment, looked at the words on the board. Patience is power. Her phone buzzed. Text message, unknown number. She opened it. Still alive, still free, still grateful. The world needs more teachers like you, fewer weapons like us. Be well, Ghost. Below the text, a photograph. Sunset over water. Mediterranean, maybe. A beach. Peace. Maya smiled. Deleted the message. Some secrets were worth keeping. She walked to the range where her new class waited, stood before them as they assembled. All right, Marines. First lesson, respiratory control, the foundation of everything. Watch closely. Feel your own breathing as I demonstrate. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 6 counts out, 2 counts pause. Let's begin. She demonstrated. The class followed. Some got it immediately. Some struggled, just like every class before. But they were learning, growing, becoming more than they were. And Maya was teaching, not killing, not hiding, not running. For the first time in her life, she was exactly where she was supposed to be. On a Saturday morning 2 weeks later, Maya stood at the 1,500-meter range, alone, cleaning her rifle. The engravings caught the light, 22 coordinates, 22 confirmed. A number that would never increase. That chapter was closed. Her phone rang. Hail, Sergeant Flynn, I have a request. Consultation only. Hindu Kush region. SF team preparing for deployment. They specifically asked for you. Interested? Maya looked at the rifle, at the engravings, at the weight of her past staring back at her. Then she looked at the training building, at the classroom where her students waited, at the future instead of the past. Send me the details, sir. I'll review and provide remote consultation. But I'm not deploying. My mission is here now. Understood, Sergeant. I'll forward the files. Thank you, sir. She hung up, set the rifle down, stood, walked back toward the building where young Marines were learning to be more than weapons, where she was teaching them that patience was power, that choices mattered, that even warriors could choose peace. The patient weapon had found her purpose, and it was not in taking lives. It was in saving them, shaping them, showing them there was another way, one student at a time. Somewhere in the world, on a beach by the Mediterranean, a woman with a scar on her cheek watched children play in the surf. Tourists laughed. Life went on. She had been Viper, Hunter, Ghost, Weapon. Now she was just Victoria. No last name needed, no history required. Just a woman trying to figure out who she could be if she stopped being what war had made her. It was harder than killing, harder than surviving, harder than anything she had done. But Maya had shown her it was possible, had proven that mercy was stronger than vengeance, that choosing life was braver than choosing death. Victoria did not know if she would succeed, did not know if redemption was real or just a story people told themselves. But she was willing to try. And trying, she was learning. Learning was enough. Back at Quantico, as the sun set over the ranges and the barracks and the training grounds, Maya Flynn stood with her students, teaching, guiding, protecting. She had been a weapon, cold, precise, effective. Now she was something more, something better. She was a teacher, a guardian, a proof that people could change, that warriors could choose peace, that even those marked by violence could find their way to something like redemption. The patient weapon had learned her final lesson. The most powerful shot was the one you chose not to take. And the greatest victory was won without firing at all. I spent 3 months researching sniper tradecraft and JSOC operations to get Maya's story right. The hardest part? Understanding how someone trained to be a perfect weapon learns to be human again. What hit me most was realizing patience, the skill that almost got her dismissed, was exactly what made her the best. Sometimes our greatest weakness is our greatest strength. Question for you veterans out there. Have you ever been underestimated because you approached a problem differently than expected? Drop your stories below. And if Maya's journey resonated with you, there's more coming. Hit that subscribe button. Next story drops Friday.